Hey guys, Comic Book Steve here again. I'm going to do my top 50 books that everyone's been doing for the past few weeks, so I'm going to jump in on it. These are kind of out of order. It's about 50. It's maybe like 51, 52. I might have went over a little bit. But these are not only my books that are expensive, I guess, in my collection, or my most expensive ones, but they're also ones that are most nostalgic to me. So these are books that will always stay in my collection, and they're older books that I collected when I was younger. They've continued to persist in my collection no matter how many times I've reduced and expanded upon the collection, which has happened a few times over the past I don't know 20 years that I've been collecting. But anyway, let's get right into it. This is Hulk vs. Superman, the one shot that they did in, what was it, 96, 97. Marvel and DC did a lot of these back in the 90s. It's a mixed reception. I didn't like a lot of them. I think Batman and Spiderman, I thought it was fun. But most of them I didn't really care for. This one, however, I think is my favorite Marvel DC crossover of all time. I could read this over. If this would honestly be my favorite single issue book to read, I think. I love the art. I love Steve Root. I think he's an incredible artist. Really invokes that Jack Kirby look in like a modern kind of setting. So it's not Kirby, but you could definitely tell it looks like it's inspired by Kirby. But it's just so clean and so his storytelling ability is just amazing. And this book is a really well done story too. I mean, it makes sense in the context of what's happening, and they try to filter in some current continuity for these characters, even though it's not placed in continuity to an imaginary kind of universe where Superman and Hulk are in the same universe, but they had never met before. It takes place early in their career. But yeah, it's an amazing book. I would, if you told me one book to give to someone, to recommend to someone, I would recommend them this book. I think it's a fantastic book, highly underrated, just amazing all around. I can gush on about it all day. Next we have up X Factor number 6, Apocalypse. First full appearance of Apocalypse. So Apocalypse, I was big on the X-Men in the 90s, like everyone else was. Apocalypse was one of my favorite characters. I didn't make a lot of allowance back then, so I couldn't afford a lot of back issues. This issue was kind of hard to find. I used to go to a lot of basement conventions, like Elks Lodges and all that stuff. This book wasn't, I don't remember seeing it too often. But it wasn't like, it was really underrated back then. Even with Age of Apocalypse having just come out, I was stunned at how underrated this book was. I think I paid $8 for it, with some allowance money, and I was stoked. I was so happy to finally have this. It's not a perfect copy. I've shown it off before. It's got some gouging going on the cover. The corners are pretty round. But the spine's very solid. Overall, it's nice, and I'm happy with it. And $8 back in 1994, pretty cool for a 14-year-old. Then we get into Runaways number 1. This is a recent pickup from the past year. I think I got this last summer. I was really into the Runaways when it came out. I thought it was an incredible, unique take on like superheroes, superpowered characters. One of the most unique concepts Marvel has put out. I thought it feels very fresh to the point where it almost doesn't feel like it fits in the Marvel universe, and maybe that's why they have a hard time making a new series for it. It's kind of like, how many times can you write story? How can you write an ongoing about characters that are constantly on the run? Don't they stop running eventually and settle down and do something else? So the concept doesn't have ongoing legs, I would say, but it's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. It was very well received critically, has a large fan base, not on the scale of like Avengers or X-Men, but I think the fan base is very loyal to it. And a lot of new characters came out of it that are awesome, and it's a shame that not too many of them are used anymore. I think Nico on the cover here is on A-Force, but that's the most. She's the one that gets the most playtime, I think. And of course, there's a new Runaways book. Excuse me, and Secret Wars. I didn't pick that up though. I heard it wasn't that great, so I've been avoiding it. But anyway, yeah, this one was. I was really glad to get this. I jumped on the boat when this came out on issue number 7 when it was originally being printed. So I missed out on number 1. It was low printed, so it was hard to get. I was glad to find this on eBay for about. I think I paid $13 for it last summer, so that was a good price. Then we get Batman 511 Zero Hour. This one is probably one of my favorite Batman books, and I honestly not sure why this one sings to me as much as it does. Maybe it's like the nostalgia of like seeing these characters. You know, Barbara Gordon wasn't used since the 80s as Batgirl, so I thought it was really interesting to see these characters pulled from other timelines. From earlier in their timeline and meeting, you know, the current versions of them. So this book is not like expensive by any means. You can probably find this in a dollar bin, honestly. But I've always really loved the story inside. Superman Man of Steel 18, first full appearance of Doomsday, the first print. This one, I love Doomsday, at least the original storyline of him. I could give 2 figs about what they're doing with him now. But it was very cool as like a 12-year-old. This was amazing stuff. Hearing about how Doomsday is gonna kill Superman. This book is not only important for that, but it is. I got signed by Louise Simonson at the New York Comic Con in 1994. It was one of the first. It was the first large convention that I ever went to. That's not true. Probably the second. I think I went to a New York Comic Con. I don't know if it was the same. Like, it might not have been at the Jacob Javits Center, but it was in the mid '80s. I think I remember going to one, but it had been a long time, and this was the first one that I fully remember and enjoyed for all it was worth. Getting signatures from artists, or not artists, mostly writers. I actually didn't get any signatures from artists, but Louise Simonson was one that I made sure I got a signature from. So I was very happy to get that on my Doomsday book. And then we go into, this is probably a weird one to see. Marvel Age 57. I love this because it has all the 80s costumes lined up. All the 80s redesigns lined up on the cover. And Marvel didn't really play around with a lot of like crossovers back then, except for Secret Wars. So it's just like, this is one of the only times that I can think of that you see all these versions of these costumes together in one book, and I would love to have seen more of it. I would even love to see like a mini series done now that takes place in like the 80s timeline, where you see all these costumes just thrown together. It just looks so interesting. I mean, the color, you could tell the 80s was a different aesthetic. There's no like, there's primary colors, but they don't like pop quite as much as like their traditional costumes do. So it's I think it's very cool, and yeah, glad to have that. We get into Marvel Superheroes number 20. Let me move some of these out of the way. Marvel Superheroes number 20. Love that Doctor Doom cover. I think this is the first solo Doctor Doom, but correct me if I'm wrong. If it's not, it's definitely an early one, and I think it's awesome to have this in my collection. It's one of those books that, you know, I've seen every now and again, but I never thought I'd actually own. I think I paid $10 for this at a local comic shop around here, so I was very happy about that. Man, this one, Marvel Comics presents 117. As a kid, this blew my mind, and I'm sure Marvel wanted it to blow my mind. Sam Keith art. I mean, the format of Marvel Comics Presents, I hated, and I still hate. It's like there's a bi-weekly book, and had 4 stories in it. So each story got like, what was it, 6 pages or so. So it took a while for it to finish. I think this was like in 12 different Marvel Comics Presents books. I think it ended at 124, maybe. I don't know. Can't remember offhand. It was a lot. And but this blew my mind. I was huge into Venom back then, as most people were. So seeing Venom fight against Wolverine, I thought was really incredible, and never forget that cover. Ultimate Fallout number 4, first Miles Morales. Got this in a dollar bin again last summer, maybe into early fall. I was really glad to have found it. I like the character a lot. You know, I think it's great that they added him to the mythos. I'm not quite sure how I feel about him joining the Marvel Universe proper. I'm glad they're not getting rid of him, but we're going to have to see how he fits into the universe and what they do to his backstory, because I thought his backstory was really interesting. So it would be a shame if they neuter that to squeeze him into the 616 universe, but we'll see. We get Avengers 183, the official, the first official time Miss Marvel joins, or Carol Danvers joins the Avengers. She joined in 181 as a reserve member, but this is where she officially joins the team, and she's been a mainstay, you know, pretty much for a long time. She left in issue 200, and then she came back during George Perez and Kurt Busiek's run. And I think she's always been one of those classic, modern classic Avengers characters, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I love Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers. Really glad they're using her a lot more now, and I'm glad to have this one. Not an expensive book at all, but I think it's under the radar, in my opinion. Avengers number 1. Speaking of George Perez and Kurt Busiek, this is the Marvel Collectible Classics version of Avengers number 1. I paid about $25 for this on eBay. This isn't as expensive as the Spiderman Marvel Collectible Classics, which go for like hundreds of dollars. This one probably is only worth about 30. I think I've only seen it go for like 30, 40. I think maybe 40 is the most I've ever seen it go for. But I was really glad to pick it up. Yeah, I love those chromium covers. Rare book. Spider-Girl number 1, signed by Pat Olaf. Got that signed at the Pittsburgh Comic Con in 2006 or 5. Probably 5. I think it's 5. I loved this series when it came out. I thought it was an amazing series. I followed it up until I want to say into the 60s, maybe in early 40s. But it was, I thought it was amazing when it started, and further on into like I said, the 40s. But then it just kind of lost a lot of steam for me, and kind of I really don't like Ron Friends. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. The artist that took over for Pat. I don't like his modern art style. I liked him back in the 80s. I think his modern art style kind of took away a lot from this book, and I was really sad to see Pat Olaf go. And I felt like the writing took a nosedive. But anyway, rambling on way too long about these books. But they're important to me, man. What do you want me to do? This one, thought it was really awesome when it came out. It still holds a warm place in my heart. Actually, you know what I should have done? I should have put the first appearance of Spider-Girl in this. I actually forgot I had that. I wanted it for so long, and I never thought I'd be able to find it for a decent price. I got it recently. I showed it in a video, maybe like a few months ago. But so pretend this book you see here is first appearance of Spider-Girl, because that is way more important to me, having her first appearance. Even though they're probably not going to use her very much anymore, because the Marvel universe is crowded to hell with spider characters. But she always holds a place in my heart. Strange Tales 150. Put this in here because I like Doctor Strange. I like Silver Age books. Don't have too many, and I'm really glad to have a first appearance of a Doctor Strange villain in my collection. I think it's a very nice copy. I paid $20 for it, as you can see from the plastic that I haven't replaced yet. But yeah, I think it's a great book, and glad to own it. And we get into Silver Surfer 50. I have the first three prints, or the first two prints. This is the third print. I just put this one up here because it's the lesser seen, I guess, version. Probably definitely the rarer version. This is in here because it's the prelude to Infinity Gauntlet. And it blew my mind when I was a kid. You see a theme here? All these books blowing my mind. But I was into Spiderman and the Hulk and the X-Men. I didn't care anything about Silver Surfer. But then I saw this cover, or the first print cover on the stands, and that silver embossed image just shouted to me as a kid, like, buy me. And that's exactly what Marvel wanted it to do, right? Those enhanced covers. And I bought it hook, line, and sinker, but it was a really good story too. Thanos is my first introduction to Thanos, who I think is one of my favorite villains now. And then the Infinity Gauntlet. And then at the end of this book, it says to be continued in the Infinity Gauntlet, and I was like, that's it. I need to pick up the Infinity Gauntlet. What is this thing? And then it went. It nosedived, or I went back into the back issue bins week after week looking for like the older issues of Silver Surfer to see how we got to this point. And yeah, it just started a snowball that has never stopped. And then we get into Silver Surfer 44. Actually, I had this one a long time ago, got rid of it. I actually didn't know that this had the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet. If I knew that back then, when I got rid of it, I probably wouldn't have gotten rid of it. But I found this recently in a dollar bin. Super glad to have it. And yeah, Thanos, Infinity Gauntlet, right up my alley. Darkhawk #1. Love this character. Woefully underused. They really need to do something with him. Get a good writer on him. Fix his backstory, which is all over the place now. I mean, they tried to do something with him during War of Kings, and it fell flat. They made him into like a transformer. I don't know. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. Yeah, underused character. I can't see them ever using him in a movie because of just how he has that full face mask all the time. I don't think that. But then again, Spider-Man does too, so you never know. But anyway, love this character. He's always been one of my favorites, and I eat up everything that comes out with him because it's so hard to find stuff that comes out with him. Fantastic Four 348, one of my favorite covers of all time, and I love Art Adams. I wish he would do more interior work. This has interiors by Art Adams and has one of the coolest teams I've ever seen. The new Fantastic Four with the characters you see on this cover. It's a beautiful book. I really love the story and the art and the characters within. It's a 3-parter, so it's not like super long, but it blew my mind as a kid. Duh. Love it. Probably one of my favorite covers of all time, that Fantastic Four one. Avenging Spider-Man #9. This is the second print. I debated which one I wanted to show on here first, the second print. I like the second print because it's rare. I like second prints. This one's on here because I love Carol Danvers, and I really love that they made her into Captain Marvel. It's one of the most obvious things that they hadn't done yet, that no one had thought of. I didn't think of it. As soon as I heard this, that they were turning her into Captain Marvel, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Duh. They're never going to bring back Marvel, so why not make Captain Marvel a Carol Danvers? And they were trying to push her for a long time as Miss Marvel. After House of M, it just wasn't taking. She had a series, they canceled it. They put her as a leader of Mighty Avengers. That book changed so much, and then they canceled that. Not because of bad sales, just because of the way the Marvel Universe was changing at that time. But she wasn't taking it with the fans. And arguably, even now, until the movie came out, she wasn't really taking too well with fans. I mean, her books are not anywhere near the top of like the sales charts, and usually get canceled. I think the first Captain Marvel series with her got canceled at 17, and the new one ends at 15. And they're gonna do another one. But I thought this was awesome. I'm super happy that I found this in a dollar bin before the movie was announced. So yeah, that's why it's on here. Marvel Team Up 55. This is an under the radar book, if I have any say in it. This is the first appearance of 2 of the Infinity Gems. 2 of them. Count them. 2. Don't ask me which ones. I should probably know that. But it's not the Soul Gem. Soul Gem first appeared in a Warlock book. Or a Marvel preview or something. Something with Warlock in it. This has 2 of them. One the Stranger's wearing. And there's another Elder of the Universe that has another one of the gems. And this is their first appearance. Yeah, so as a fan of the Infinity Gauntlet, I was glad to find this for cheap. Peter Parker Spider-Man number 10. So I started buying comics on a monthly basis in 1991. I stopped in 1996 or 5. I think it was 6. Yeah, I think it was 6. And then I didn't pick it up again until this damn book right here. This was in 2000, maybe 99, 2099, not 2099, 2000 or 99. I'm not from the future, guys. I swear. This, you know, I was playing in a band, and during band practice, like after band practice on the weekends, we would play Dungeons and Dragons. I wanted to get some dye, so we went to a comic store. I saw this on the stands. I was like, man, I wonder what Venom's up to. Picked it up, got hooked ever since. Admittedly, this was like a terrible time in Amazing Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spider-Man, where Howard Mackie and John Byrne were running the show and driving it straight into the ground. But John Romita was one of the shining points of that, and his take on Venom, I think, is incredible. And he should do more Venom. This is the book that ended my my monthly comic book collecting in 1996. Not because of this book. I think I was getting tired of like all the crappy X-Men and bad art of the 90s. And you know, seeing Spider-Man was kind of... I was actually kind of mad that they were getting rid of Ben Reilly. I really liked Ben Reilly. I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of guy, you know? When they announced that Ben Reilly was the real Spider-Man, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's see what this guy's got. You write enjoyable stories, I'll read it. I mean, Peter Parker is still around. He's not dead. But even now, even more so when they change stuff, you know it's coming to change back. So just enjoy the ride. Jim Gordon's Batman, whatever. Bruce Wayne's coming back in like a year, at least. Miles Morales is Spider-Man, the only Spider-Man in Marvel right now. Whatever. Peter Parker's some writer's gonna be like, you know what? We need to bring back Peter Parker as the real Spider-Man, and Peter Parker will be back. But I digress. This book I thought was awesome. John Romita art, awesome. John Romita's Green Goblin is awesome. I just wanted to see the end of a storyline that I'd been following for like 2 years, and I was really sad to see Ben go. And I was really confused at why they were bringing back Norman Osborn, but I was satisfied. I was satisfied at the weight of it all, you know, even though it was kind of wrapped up in a neat little bow in the end, and Ben was kind of brushed under the rug. But man, I got a lot of books here. I'm talking way too much about them. Sorry, guys. Next one we got is Edge of the Spider-Verse number 2. First appearance of Spider-Gwen. 2 copies there. 1 copy I got on the day it came out. The other copy I got 3 weeks later at a comic shop. I was really surprised to still see it at when I regretted not getting to the first time I bought one. Super glad to have that in there. Maybe one day I'll flip one, but love Gwen. Love Gwen. I'm so glad she's getting a second lease on life. No pun intended. But yeah, I think she's a great character. Glad to see her get used. I guess she never really had like a fleshed out personality in the Amazing Spider-Man books. She was always just the girlfriend and got killed. So it's good to see her get some playtime. I hope they do more with her. Incredible Hulk 376. This is the beginning of one of the beginnings of my monthly comic book collecting in 1991 or 1990. This came out. This one I saw at Disney World in 1990, and it just blew my mind. You hear that a lot during this video, right? Blown my mind. Green Hulk versus Grey Hulk. What the hell is going on there? I had to pick it up, and I remember thinking that this guy down here was some kid who accidentally let loose the Green Hulk and the Grey Hulk. Little did I know that that was actually Bruce Banner, and this all takes place on the Mindscape. But he looks kind of like a kid, doesn't he? Looks like some teenager. It's like, oh my god, how did I do that? I'm sorry. Awesome book. And this is my original copy. It is in shit condition. It is in dog crap condition, and I love it. Incredible Hulk 324. Like the black costume, like the 80s, I love the Grey Hulk. And it's a shame they don't use him anymore. Yeah, this is the Return of the Grey Hulk. I have 2 copies of it, the newsstand and the direct edition. Yeah, that's about it. I like the Grey Hulk. Incredible Hulk 294. This is one of the first comic books I ever remember owning. I remember playing with this. This came out in 1983. I must have been 3 years old. I remember playing with this in a Sizzler in New York, and I wouldn't sit in my chair, and I remember throwing it on the floor, not out of spite, just because I enjoyed it so much that I just wanted to read it on the floor. And yeah, I remember that image very vividly, and I had to pick it up years later because the original copy had long since thrown in the garbage. That's about that. These 2 I got recently. Do 2 at once since they go together pretty well. Tales to Astonish 90 and 91, first and second appearance of the Abomination. Love the Abomination. It's one of my favorite villains as an avid reader in the 90s. So I was really glad to. These were 2 books that were always like, I'll never get those. I will never ever be able to own those. So I'm really glad to finally have them. They were cheap. They were about 12 each, and they're in pretty good condition, and I love it. Miss Marvel #1, the regular edition. Love Kamala Khan. Love the artist in this. Love the writing and the story. It's got a little ding up there at the top that I did when I was opening the package that it came in, so I was clearly pissed off about that. Well, not clearly, but trust me, I was pissed off about that. But then later on, I got the variant edition on the cheap. Well, what was it, like $60? I think I paid for this with a credit online. So it was a good substitute to get this beautiful Art Adams cover. And then we get Miss Marvel #23, the final issue. Like I said, like Carol Danvers, like last issues. Inhumans. Amazing Adventures #1. The Inhumans and the Black Widow. First Black Widow solo. Awesome book. Glad to have it. Infinity Gauntlet #1. Love the Infinity Gauntlet. Gotta have #1, right? Secret Wars #8. First, the origin of the black costume. You cannot have that. Come on. I mean, it's not a fantastic copy that I have here, but you cannot not have that if you like the black costume. Thor #129. Ares. First appearance of Ares. Love Ares. I think he's an awesome character. Really liked him during the Initiative and Dark Reign. Sad to see him gone. Surprised they haven't brought him back yet. Need to find a better copy of this book, but for now, this one is in my top 50. Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man '89. This is one of the first Spider-Man books I ever owned. It goes along with, let me find the other one. One of these 2 was one of the first books I ever owned. Amazing 261 or Peter Parker Spider-Man '89. Not sure which one it is. One of them is one of the first ones I ever owned, and they're very nostalgic to me. Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #64, first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. Got this on eBay for cheap. Paid, I think it was like a bundle of 40-something Spectacular Spider-Man books for about $40. So it was $1 a book. Glad to have it. Spectacular Spider-Man #1. Take a guess why I like that one. First issue, like Spider-Man. There you go. Renew Your Vows, the J. Scott Campbell variant. This is an amazing cover. Such a nice cover. He really did a great job with the expressions on their faces and just like the lighting and the coloring. Love it. Love everything about it. Amazing 700. Love that cover too. Amazing 400. Another one. Amazing cover. Great cover. Love that you can actually see the embossed look of the cover as opposed to the gray version of it. I love that it's rare and that I got this with credit. It took a while to find a decent price for it, but finally found it. Amazing 345. This began my monthly Amazing Spider-Man collection in '91. All because of that little guy up there, Venom. As a kid, I was like, whoa, Venom's back. I need to get that. I knew his books were expensive, and I was really glad to see one on the shelf that I could pick up. Amazing 328. This one blew my mind as a kid. I mean, the Cosmic Saga was one of my favorite Amazing Spider-Man sagas, or Spider-Man in general. So I had to put one in this list. This one takes the cake. Just seeing Spider-Man kick the crap out of the Hulk, I thought was pretty amazing. Amazing 300, the Chromium edition. This one I paid $15 for back in 2001. So it's amazing to me that it's worth so much now, and I love that cover. Love that Chromium cover. Amazing 252, again, black costume. Can't not have this if you love the black costume. Got one signed by Ron, and the other one is staying unsigned. I might get the Ron one also signed by Stan when I meet him next month. We'll see. But these are amazing books. So happy to have both of them. Amazing 149. First appearance of Ben Reilly. Can't beat that. Amazing 61. Don't have the first appearance of Gwen Stacy. This is the first cover appearance of her, so that's why this is on here. Amazing 21. This is the earliest Spider-Man book that I own, and I love every bit of it. My wife got this for me for my birthday this year, and I am ecstatic about it. It's not bone white, but it's pretty awesome to me. And then we got two more, guys. Transformers, number 87 from the UK magazine. This is the first appearance of Death's Head. Love Death's Head. Took a while to track this down. We got two copies here. They're both about the same in grade, I would say. Pretty nice. Not perfect, but pretty nice. Yeah, his first appearance was in this Transformers book, and it took a while to track down. You could probably track it down easier in the UK, but I've never seen it in the wild out here. And on eBay, it pops up once every like 4 months or so. But it's not like high in demand. But honestly, if this character ever is used in anything, that makes this makes him interesting to the masses. This book is going to be super hard to find, because it is in low grade paper, and it's like newsprint almost. Not quite, but it's kind of flimsy, so it's hard to keep them in good condition because of that magazine style. So it's not so common to see these kind of books in good condition. But maybe I'm wrong. But I'm super glad to have this in my collection. 2 copies. I might get a third one just to try to get a near mint copy. And last but not least, one book that I never thought I'd own. Amazing Spider-Man 300, first appearance of Venom, 9.4. Got that with store credit at my comic shop, and I'm super glad I did. That's about it, guys. I don't want to ramble on too much about this one. It is what it is, you know. First appearance of Venom, awesome book, great grade. Really glad to have it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm still trying to sort out what I want to do for a contest for my 100 subscriber video, or contest. I'll let you guys know as soon as that happens. And thanks for watching.